steel jumps that they place out on the track, and they will hit these things wide open on the throttle, sail the trucks incredibly high. They will go off of the jumps side by side, at least in race format here in this first session, which is a practice session, aka qualifying session, and there are points attached to the qualifying session, 3, 2, and 1, qualifying on the pole, second and third place, and it's a moto-style event. So you earn points from qualifying, you earn points from race number 1, which will happen at the end of tomorrow, around 6:15 or so, and then you earn points from the second race on Sunday. The overall winner, of course, will receive the money and the accolades that go along with it. If there is a tie in points for some reason, then much like moto, it will go to the finisher of the second race, whoever finishes best. So the trucks are absolutely incredible, but could they be better? Yes, they could be better, and Robbie Gordon knows that. Could they make them stop better? Yes, they could, but he wants this to be a driver's series. So they will have wicked brake fade in these things if they go out and push them right to the limit, and they have to monitor these things. And by the way, during the driver's meeting, Robbie Gordon looks right at everybody and says, those brake pads on your truck, that's what you get for the weekend. So you can do whatever you want in practice and qualifying, but those are the same ones you're going to use on Sunday. So you might want to be smart about it. So it's pretty cool. It comes back to the drivers. Drafting will be huge here as well. These trucks, as you might imagine, will punch a huge hole in the air, and they'll be able to close up from behind. And
okay, so normally I would be thinking these guys right out here on the front straightaway, putting this stuff on the track while these trucks are trying to go by are crazy. But they're actually building one of the jumps right here.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see some forklifts out there and not much room for them to sneak by here, but yeah, they'll put some jumps all around, and they said they're going to evaluate here today. They might be in a different location tomorrow. They might actually create a chicane in the back to slow them down and put a jump right in front of the grandstand. So they're going to test it out a little bit today.
So if you want lights, I want a jump coming over the bridge. How's that?
I think we were all kind of concerned about that one because Robbie's just crazy enough to do it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean,
well, he's staying at my hotel. So last night he was camped out in the lobby having pizza. If he's down there tonight, we might have to talk about it. You know, when you look through the driver lineup of this deal, there's some really big names in here, some incredibly famous last names in here. And then after all that, you get Max Gordon. So let's hit some of the highlights. You got Jeff Ward, legendary motocross, supercross champion, IndyCar driver, accomplished so much. Ricky Johnson, RJ, legendary motocross, supercross guy. Robbie Gordon did everything there is to possibly do on the planet. You get Arie Luyendyk Jr., Stanton Barrett, who if you've been to an action movie, pick one, right? Probably the craziest car stunt done in that movie was done by Stanton Barrett. So being upside down, turned over, on fire, all that, no problem for Stanton Barrett. How about Ricky Howerton, right?
So Ricky did not show up. Unfortunately, we do not have Ricky. But, man, what a huge name in flat tracking. You're right, absolutely. Yeah. Really known for his crew chief abilities and, of course, has worked in every discipline known. But in place of him will be Jacob Abel, who's a young gun who's come up through out of karting, of course, into F4, F3, and now in F2000. So they've put him inside. He's a Crosley-sponsored machine, so that's the tie-in there in the 40 truck.
And there's plenty of other names, but you want to pick a famous last name? How about Brabham?
Oh, my goodness, right? I mean, his father, Jeff, a 4-time IMSA champ. His grandfather, the late Sir Jack Brabham, a 3-time F1 champ. And then, of course, him himself. Even his mother's a champion in jet ski racing, believe it or not.
Right,
but, of course, he won a championship at F2000. He won one in Pro Mazda. He went to Indy Lights, raced with Andretti. Just missed the championship there by a little bit. And he's currently leading the championship points here. He's been on the podium every single round, of which we've had 6 so far. He's also qualified on the pole every single round. And I will tell you that I put him and Ricky Johnson, although age differences are huge, but if you watch them guys drive with an onboard, very, very similar. I've always put Ricky Johnson as one of the smoothest drivers I've ever seen in my life, and Brabham's cut from that cloth.
And, of course, I mentioned Max. Gordon. What is Max now? 14?
He's 13.
13.
He was 12
I was
when
making
the
him older
season
than he
started
is.
off.
Oh, my gosh. Tell the folks a little bit about Max. Obviously, it's Robbie's son, and if you're going to be Robbie's son, you're going to have to learn how to be flat out and wide open, and he is.
He is a chip off the old block, which is what I always say. He is a mini Robbie, no doubt about it. He is wise beyond his years. He's a brilliant young man for sure, and very talented. He probably has as much or more time than anybody in these trucks. He does a lot of testing in them to make sure they're all the same before they bring them out here back at the shop. But he's already completed the Baja 1000.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's amazing. Of course, Dad had him in a race car the second he thought he could sit up inside of one, you know, and he's been learning ever since.
But he was in a race car. That's what happens with Robbie Gordon. Yeah,
yeah, he's
imagine.
A piece of work. Max is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So great stuff. Yeah, I mean, talking about, it's so great to see Wardy again. How about Wardy and RJ? Those guys battled back in the mid to late 80s for championships. Both of them with 7 championships. Wardy, I think, 5 motocross, 2 supercross. You've got Ricky Johnson with 7 AMA national championships. Wardy and 2 Hall of Fames, over 60 IndyCar starts. You mentioned that, and finished on the podium twice at the Indianapolis 500. I mean, we are talking about the best of the best. There's no doubt about it. Him and Ricky Johnson back here behind the wheel. So it should be a lot of fun to watch those guys.
Yeah, but all that's not the most famous stuff when it comes to Jeff Ward. The opening scene in On Any Sunday, the little kid popping the wheelie, that's Wardy right there, Jeff Ward.
That is Wardy.
And you know what? It's the 50th anniversary this year.
Speaking of Stan Barrett and stunt driving, right? How about that?
And it's the 50th anniversary of On Any Sunday this year. How about that? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Stan Barrett, I said Stan Barrett. His father, his father is Stan, and of course the controversial pass, you know, the big speed. But even forensic puts him at over 660 miles an hour.
And what we're talking about
is
Bonneville, the Salt Flats, and land speed records, which is actually going on now out in Utah.
Absolutely.
Yes. So the Budweiser Rocket. So some of these ramps are getting into position in some of the places. So you're watching on the big screen, depending on where you are around the track, you might have seen the trucks in the air already.
And we will be put to the test on the Crosley trucks because they are all identical looking with the exception of the numbers. So I've already pleaded the 5th on that deal, so we're clear. So everybody with 1 lap around the track already to get a look for it, try and figure out where the ramps are going to be. There's Bill Hines, who's in his 8th season here with SST, the white truck.
And you mentioned Max testing all these trucks. None of these drivers own these trucks. Robbie's company owns all the trucks. They're in Charlotte. They prepare the trucks. They get the trucks ready. They get the trucks all set to go. They bring them to and from the racetracks, and the drivers show up with their helmets, driver suits, get in and go.
That is absolutely right, and the mechanics have been hard at it since mid-Ohio. We were there, of course, running a couple of rounds. Actually, been there twice, and then, of course, they increased the driver count, highest we've had all year long, up to 13 people out here inside of the trucks. Looks like some track maintenance had gone on there a little bit. They'll blow that out of the way. The trucks won't worry about it. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. Casey's in charge of that group, and they do a phenomenal job. And let me tell you something else, too, that they are not afraid to do, and that's change trucks. If you're not happy with your truck, Robbie will get out of the truck and say, take mine, I'll take yours. Yeah. And they just did a complete redraw. After Mid-Ohio, going into the final race, we had a driver's meeting. They put all the numbers in a hat. Everybody drew a number. And they completely mixed up all the trucks from Mid-Ohio to when we got here, just to make sure everything's even across the board.
You gone for a ride in one?
I have not been for a ride in one, much as I would love to. Looks like a lot of fun. I had the opportunity to drive a Pro Light a little bit and Pro Buggy, so it would be very cool.
So I went for a ride with Robbie.
Oh, brave man.
Mm-hmm. And that was in his big trophy truck.
Oh, those things
out in the Nevada desert.
I went for a ride with Carl Renesetter and his, and what they're capable of is.
Remember the one he had done like the American flag?
Yes.
I forgot what he had a name for it. Anyway, it was one of his winning trucks. He had quite a few checkers with that one. Anyway, we went for a ride in that one, and it is remarkable what off-road machines have done. And I know Robbie has taken all that knowledge and all of the experiences that he has had, and he's put it all in this here. And he's kind of taken that concept of what he and his father, Bob, had experienced back in the old Mickey Thompson Stadium off-road days, and have taken it out of necessarily inside a stadium, but brought it to the fans in a venue atmosphere that is kind of like a stadium by bringing it to the racetracks.
Yeah, I mean, there's no bigger fan of short course off-road racing than I am. I absolutely love it, and it's certainly very exciting. But if you can bring a show like this to the fans, you have that opportunity, and he had that vision.
Yeah.
Then absolutely, pull it off, and that's exactly what he did. And he, how are we going to jump the trucks on an asphalt course? We'll build ramps. I mean, Robbie, there's an answer for everything. I mean,
there's no no's. There's just let's figure it out.
Yeah, let's figure it out.
And credit to his crew, because since we've been done with IndyCar practice, they've already gone around. The ramps are in place. These guys are about ready to go. That's a pretty quick turnaround when you think about it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't take them too long. I'm sure they had a really good idea of where they wanted it. When we were at Mid-Ohio, the ramps were a little bit far out. They backed them up about 20 feet, actually a couple of times because the trucks were jumping a bit too far. I do see a red flag. They've checked everybody up here. I don't see any issues on the track that we know of anyways.
By the way, fans, don't forget the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Yes, it's all about race cars. It's also about music. And we have a big concert again tonight. We have one every night here as part of the Music City Grand Prix, including even Sunday night, Ken. After the checker flag falls for the Grand Prix, we're not done having a good time. We
very rarely do this, but my wife and I came, brought the motor home. We're like, we're staying Sunday night, man. We're going to chill out and cruise home on Monday.
Okay.
Brooks and Dunn, I think, playing tonight.
Are you going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you're
I'm all in, man.
You're all in.
It's a great time. I mean,
here's your lineup right there. Look at that lineup. So, rock and roll guy, Vince Neil. I'll be there. 7:40.
My son said the same exact thing. Yep.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, won't be the first time I've seen Vince. It won't be the last time I've seen Vince. All in on that. And
Great
Brooks
stuff,
and Dunn.
yeah.
I mean, the legendary Brooks and Dunn, right? I mean, gosh, it's going to be such a great night. Did you get to have some fun up and down Broadway already?
I have not. We rolled in here. We got in pretty late last night. My son is an instructor for BMW, and they were out at the Speedway giving some rides.
And when he says the Speedway, he means the Speedway. There's only one when you say the Speedway. We're talking about Indianapolis.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is where we call home. So we didn't get out of there till about 7 o'clock last night. Rolled in here a little bit later on. So, yeah, we missed some of the fun. I know I saw Joseph Newgard and the gang had a
ping pong tournament.
Yeah, ping pong.
Yeah, he won his own ping pong tournament.
Well, you remember the RoboPong at Newcastle,
That's right.
where they had that machine that really sponsored a lot of stuff. He and his father and their family. So yeah, I see that's still advancing on, and I think he actually won. Is that a ringer? I mean, is that allowed to happen?
He beat Joey Logano, and there were some NASCAR stars there and some IndyCar people. There's some members of the Titans in the entertainment industry. And I want to say $136,000,
I think I read 136 as well.
$163,000, something like that.
Incredible.
Donated to his charity. So it's just fantastic. Great time for everybody. And, just another part of what's making this Big Machine Music City Grand Prix so special as we kick off this inaugural event.
All the logistics, right, to go into all of that stuff in conjunction with all of this stuff. I mean, people working tirelessly to make it all
you
happen.
just look at the music lineup.
Alone,
it's
right?
like a 3-day massive festival anywhere in the country. And, we're going to have an IndyCar weekend too, with everything that comes with that.
Yeah, and the SRO and Trans Am.
And we're going to do it on a street circuit, and we're going to do it around a football stadium. I mean, it was an absolutely massive undertaking that when you talk to the executives who put this together was some 6 years in the building, and let's have coffee and talk about it over a napkin. And the next thing you know, they're on the phone to IndyCar pitching it. And you talk to Mark Miles, the president of Penske Entertainment, who oversees the series that way for Mr. Penske. And he said, we must have made half a dozen trips to Nashville over the time,
countless
talking about this, figuring
calls.
out if we're there. And, finally, Mr. Penske himself came in and met with everybody. And he's looked him in the eye and heard what they were saying, and he's like, you know what? We're doing this. And here we are. And they made that announcement, last September? And a year later, here we are.
And that
Just
man sets
incredible.
a goal it's very rarely not achieved.
And at the highest level, right?
At the
Just how we
highest
brought
level.
the trophy in here today. Did you see that?
I didn't see it. I heard it. I literally heard it.
Super cool.
So, yeah.
If you folks missed it, we flew in a Black Hawk helicopter to bring the trophy that's going to be handed out on one of a kind. It's got music notes on it and all sorts of cool stuff. To bring that trophy in, that's going to be handed out on Sunday afternoon, and a Little Bird came with it. There's a Black Hawk and an MH6 Little Bird. And then they flew back around, came back in, and picked up some of the military that were here, our armed forces that are doing such an incredible job all around the world for us. And
I'm really glad they're on our side.
Yeah, man. Incredible.
Those things are incredible.
So proud of those people.
I was at Houston one time, NHRA race, and they had two of those that were tucked in behind the tower. We were all up in the grandstands, and you couldn't see them or hear them. And all of a sudden, they just went up and around, and there were two of them came right down over the drag strip, turned them sideways a little bit, so they were aimed right at the at the fans, and it was talk about awe-inspiring. Holy smokes, man! It was incredible. Speaking of the Wolfpack, I see some of the guys down there. I think that's Robbie Fast. I'm sure you know Robbie Fast, one of the spotters down there for the Ganassi team. Turn one spotter there for Dixon. And, yeah, it was great to see him step back up there. Of course, he's in that hunt for the championship. Yet another one, right?
Dixon, third in the title chase right now.
Yeah, unbelievable. So he's certainly not out of it. And these kids, man, they're bringing the heat.
Oh.
You know, Alex Pillow and Pato. I mean, these young guns are bringing some serious heat.
If you're a veteran and you want to win the championship, you better get it done this year. This might just about be your last chance at it. Yeah.
And it's not one or two of them, man. It's
no, they're going to go on a run.
IndyCar is going to be very exciting here now and in the future, for sure. Thought I heard a couple of them fire up. I see a green flag waving.
We got them coming over here to 11, which means they're going to be hitting this jump coming out of here. Here we go.
First one up and over. Get a good feel for it. That's Robbie Gordon in that bright orange truck. The number 4 Crosley Brands back machine is Wardy, Jeff Ward, Ricky Johnson in the number 5. Zach Van Mater out here with us. Had a couple of starts 2019. Won the Nora 1000 and a UTV. Pretty impressive there for that young man, who's also a stunt driver, by the way. He'll be behind the wheel of number 22 machine, Dirks Bentley Whiskey Row. What a great sponsor, right on the side. Let's hang close to that guy tonight.
Right where we know he's going to be, yeah.
Good stuff. Ari Leindyke Jr., you mentioned him before. VP Racing Fuels truck, the number 25. 3 wins here in this series and 14 podiums. Robert Stout, a 2-time National Sports Car Champ and Short Course Off-Road Champ, and the number 28 Lucas Oil Fatheads sponsored machine, and iHeartRadio, who is going to be with us here this weekend as well. So we welcome them to this huge event.
These jumps might look a little simple because they're right on the front straightaway or what have you. They're not. We've seen plenty of opportunities over the course of the year where these guys have a lot of problems and will roll trucks, get together, crash in midair. Those jumps, as we get a little deeper, especially in a race time, can become a hot spot for the action.
Yeah, it's a great point, Ralph. As you watch them come through this left-hander, you'll see them heel way over, courtesy of the torque of that engine, and it'll pick the left front tire way up in the air. I mean way up in the air, and they strategically place those ramps so that the driver has to settle the truck back down and get up over that ramp as quickly as possible. If they go off of it on 3 wheels, it's going to end up bad. We talked about these guys going off these jumps side by side, and they will do so in race condition. They'll play it smart here today.
Ken, I'm just watching the ramp here just below us, and I'm going to say that's easily 30 yards, 20, 25 yards. Take off the landing, maybe more.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, right there, that was an easy 30 yards there, and they're just getting warmed up.
Oh, yeah, that's over it right there. That's about 35.
Jacob, there goes Ricky Johnson. Matty Brabham already trying to make a pass here, diving down underneath somebody. Of course, so comfortable inside of these things. The Carlisle back machine.
A little different for Wardy and Johnson floating one of these big trucks over those ramps as opposed to the 250 back in the day, huh?
Yeah, for sure. But both the short course experience, right? Ricky with 4 championships in short course, 2 in Pro 2, 2 in Pro 4. And then Wardy just missed the championship by 1 point to Carl Reynolds that are back in 09 in the Pro 2 division. So these guys have slung around some big trucks. They're not afraid to fly one.
And he was inches close to being an Indy 500 winner,
Oh,
too.
my goodness.
Incredible
Finished
to think.
second, finished third.
Just incredible to think of everything that Jeff Ward has actually done.
5 top 5s and 7 starts at the Indianapolis 500. I mean, incredible, for sure. Bill Hines off the pace there a little bit, down there in the white truck, trying to stay out of the way as he learns this very tricky track. The trucks really move around a lot, as you'll be able to see here as well. So they require a lot of control.
We actually had somebody lose a phone up here by our announce position. If you're missing your phone, come on up here, and if you can prove it's you, we got your picture on the phone, we'll hand it back to you.
It's our lives anymore, man.
Yeah, for sure. It won't take long before he realizes he doesn't have it.
Be great if you could talk to the groundskeeper and see if we could get that tree just lowered a little bit.
Yeah, you noticed that, huh? Yeah.
Of course, we have a beautiful monitor right in front of us, the best seats in the house. And what do? We look over the top of it. So again, these guys will pick their way around here, get comfortable with it. And we're about 5 minutes into this 30-minute session. Something to keep in mind is they have a full inversion. They have a full inversion in the field here. Number 1 qualifier will start dead last. Looks like stat on the back bumper of the number 50 for Jett Nolan. Jett Nolan, the 2020 Trans Am 2 Rookie of the Year. Also has a handful of starts there for Nice Motorsports. The same team up, and we've got one on its lid up against the K-rail. And it looks like the window net is down. That's a great sign, of course, right off the bat. Looks like it might be a Continental Tire truck. Tough to tell from that vantage point just who it is. Tough to take the belts off and then climb up out of there. Of course, the trucks are extremely safe as well. You can see some of the construction that goes on down underneath them and how beefy these things are, how strong they are. And, of course, always a great sign as the driver digs his way up out of there. Apologize for the feedback there, an open mic. Biting us just a bit, so the speed crew over there immediately to help them out, and we'll see if we can get this thing turned back over. Really good chance that the truck is A-okay, and might be able to climb back in and get some more seat time. No spotters here for this series. A lot of series, of course, do incorporate spotters. In this particular one, they are not allowed to have them. So easy to block with these trucks and be aggressive if you're out front. So they want it to be a driver's series. And, of course, the trucks are pretty solid, pretty safe as well. So it's good to watch them work on their racecraft inside of the truck and figure out a way around the guys in front of them. As everybody's stacked up there waiting for the green lights so they can take off and get back underway, we'll get that one turned back over as quickly as possible. Talked about a number of the drivers in here. Bo Lamastus, by the way, one of the brand, and he is also the man behind the sponsorship of this Nashville event here with Robbie Gordon Stadium Super Trucks. So we can't thank him enough. I mean, a huge effort out of him. And of course, we made a superstar. Well, maybe he made a superstar of himself. I think he all but went viral. Him and Bill Hines at Mid-Ohio, things got a little bit sporty over there, and everybody had a good time watching them.
Yeah, it sure did, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was that an article in Speed Sport, by the way? By the way,
yeah.
thanks for all you do on that thing, man.
Thank you very much,
it's
Ken. I
super
appreciate
cool.
that.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Speed Sport's now 87 years old.
Incredible, right? Chris Economaki was such an incredible force for me when I was first getting going. I lived in New Jersey, and I literally made a phone call to the guy out of the blue. He had no idea who I was, and I said, would you meet me for lunch? He said, absolutely. Took me to his granddaughter's, a diner where his granddaughter was working, and we sat there and had lunch together. I'll never forget it. And he asked me to describe to him the start of a drag race, and I did it, and he said, that's great. Now you need to do it in 15 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
Took me 5 minutes to do it, so, but yeah, I certainly miss him. Boy, what a wonderful talent he was.
Yes, we all
and
do.
Certainly appreciate you picking up the ball and running with that one.
Well, thank you. We're very proud of our team at Speed Sport, and happy to continue it for the racing fans.
So we were, speaking of Mid-Ohio, if you missed the action there between Bill Hines and Bo Lamassus. So what happened is they'd gotten hooked up a little bit. This was after the race. This is post-race on the cool-down lap. And I think Hines wanted to give him a bumper and did so, but then they got locked up, and the two of them decided, well, we're going to sort this thing out here, a little frontier justice, if you will. And Hines trying to explain. Bo doesn't want to really hear it, and, well, things just went downhill from here. That's good stuff right there, man.
Oh yeah. There you
go. Things got pretty crazy, you know.
He kept the helmet on, though.
I mean, it's motorsports. I mean, the tippers fly, you know. The adrenaline runs high. These guys are out here. I know a lot of times people think it's an exhibition deal, but there's a lot of money on the line. These guys are racing and racing hard. Once you put that helmet on, man, it's on. Bo Lamassus with devious thoughts here, and things picked up again. And it ended up costing Bo a carbon fiber helmet, for sure.
Yeah, right there.
and if not,
there
it's done for sure. That was about the end of it right there. But so it goes sometimes. Tempers flare, and the next day you had to love the humor of the officials at Mid-Ohio. One of the corner workers down there in the keyhole showed up with a striped uniform on and a yellow card. So
that's awesome.
So they had a little bit of fun with those guys, and everybody was good the next day. It's just how it goes sometimes. So
you brought up a great point right there, and while we have this bit of downtime, a big thank you, as we will over the course of the entire weekend, to our corner workers, our safety marshals all around, the officials from all the different sanctioning bodies that have to come in here and figure out how to work together, get the track up and running, and be as safe as we possibly can for the racers so they can put on the show that they are putting on here. They do not, Ken, as you know, get enough credit for what they do to put a race together like this.
Yeah, and they're all in. I mean, talk about dedicated people with a huge passion for motorsports. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it without them. We've got a replay here of what happened here. See if we can get a little something.
Oh, boy. Yes, sir. These tight corners, you really take it in there, all that power to the ground, you get it up on two wheels, and it's going to take you right over, and it did.
Yeah, and if you can get in there hard enough to rotate the truck and slide it a little bit, of course, that's what you want to do and get the thing rotated as quickly as possible. But, there's a fair amount of roll here, a lot of body roll, which means there's a lot of weight transfer, and it's going to dig that outside tire in. So it's one of those deals where if you don't attack it 100%, it'll bite you, and if you attack it too little, it'll bite you. It's a tricky thing to drive. My son has raced almost everything out there, and an exception to the IndyCar, which he would love to get in, of course, but he said it was the strangest thing he'd ever driven. The way it hikes up the left front tire, just the way it stops, the way it steers, and you watch these guys at speed, boy, it's pretty exciting. Stout back on the throttle there with the number 28 truck. Speaking of SRO and World Challenge, 2010 World Challenge champion, the youngest at the time in World Challenge history, which still spans some 25 years. 2019 Lucas Oil Off-Road champ and UTVs. Matty back underway. And in all honesty, I still never got a number on the truck that actually flipped over. I never saw a view of it to find out who that was. As we continue on here in this session, looks like they're going to try to give them all of their time, if at all possible. Bill Hines still out there. As they head up over the bridge, and these things in full steam, man, full throttle. They'll approach speeds of 160 miles an hour. They're absolutely no joke. Stuff can go wrong really fast. More importantly, of course, maintaining those brakes, as they always talk about. You can see them hiking up that left front tire there as well, as they try to get these things settled back down. Hard on the brakes, and we talk about getting something, a race car rotated. Something you have to think about here is these guys do have a turning, what they call a cutting brake. It'll operate the rear brakes independently of the front brakes, so they can help them back into a turn. The reason it's there, and you can see a lot of smoke there off of Matty Brabham, really carrying that right front tire in, hard on the brake and locked up. But the reason it's so hard for them to get them rotated is they have a spool in the back.
Yeah.
So, anytime you've got a spool or a positive traction rear end, if you're more familiar with the term that way, when you pick up the throttle and you've got a spool, the truck or the vehicle is going to want to go straight. So they are tricky to learn how to get to rotate quickly. Right now in qualifying order, Robbie Gordon P1, Robert Stout P2, Matty Brabham in third, Max Gordon in fourth. And how about Zach Van Meter rounding out the top five? So the truck that flipped over was the number 22 of Zach Van Meter. The Dirk Bentley Whiskey Row sponsored machine. And hopefully the truck's okay and quite possibly right back out here to try and get some laps in. Boy, that area over the bridge there is so tight. Great spot up here on the fourth floor as we keep an eye on whatever we can. The fans have not left. Everybody here watching these guys do what they do. There is Max Gordon. Max, as we talked about, so talented. At 8 years old, completed a race with Best in the Desert, the Parker 250. 8 years old. A little smoke off of one of the Crosley trucks. It might have tagged the wall there with the left front. Matty Brabham in that Carlisle back number 83, and hard on the throttle here out of turn number 11. Lap time's getting quicker and quicker as Matty Brabham now goes to the pole. 54.88. Puts a second and a half on Robbie Gordon. Stout still P3. Jett Nolan now up into the top five. Lamastus in the number 42, Stanton Barrett in the 31. And you spoke about Stanton Barrett there a little bit. Has competed in all 3 divisions of NASCAR. Also has some GT experience, IMSA GT experience. Has a handful of IndyCar starts as well. Not much he hasn't been a part of. And another impressive story, as we spoke about his father being behind the wheel of the Budweiser Rocket, his grandparents built Mammoth. So pretty cool story there as well. He, Ricky Johnson, they grew up together, man. They've been riding and racing throughout their entire careers, much like him and Jeff Ward. The tie-in with IndyCar here, when you take a look at everybody, of course, Ari and Ari's father, who certainly is in attendance here as he's part of race control up there with IndyCar, 2-time 500 winner, and he has a start as well. Matty Brabham has a start in 500. It's pretty cool to see these drivers and how diverse they are. Not much they can't get behind the wheel of and really wheel. Stout lays one down to try and close the gap there on Brabham. Brabham a 54.4. Stout goes 55.25, just ahead of Robbie Gordon. Stout with the 3rd quickest lap of the race at Mid-Ohio. Finally starting to put things together. So hungry for that podium. Has been 4th on a number of occasions. Looks like they're bringing everybody to a stop here. He's finished in the top 5. Really every race. One race received the penalty and was bumped back to 6th. Just a rookie there at St. Pete, a rookie move. If you pass somebody, if you go around a jump, you feel like it's unsafe, and another truck's beside you, and you go around the jump, you have to fall back behind the tailgate of that truck. And he did let the truck take the lead, but didn't fall back enough, so they dinged him one spot there at the end of the race. But other than that, it's been in the top 5 and a couple of 4th-place finishes. So hungry for that podium, which, if he can get it, would be his 100th career. Pretty nice round number there as well. And who knows, just might happen here. Looks like he's got a pretty good truck here so far today. Oh, right down there with Brabham now. Just 0.4 of a second off of Brabham. Brabham P1 at a 154.37. Stout 154.77. Then Gordon 155.4. Ari Lyndike Jr. now jumps into the top 5. Jett Nolan in 6th. Van Mater, as we heard before, was the truck that did turn over a little bit earlier in 7th. Wardy in 8th. Jacob Abel, the young gun, at 20 years old, there in 9th. And 10th, Ricky Johnson, 2-time Baja 1000 winner. Bill Hines, Bo Lamastus, and Stanton Barrett to round out the field of 13 trucks. And Robbie Gordon doing his antics. He is certainly capable of putting that thing up on 2 wheels and driving around, Joey Chitwood style. You remember seeing him? You remember watching the Joey Chitwood show?
Oh, I saw it live in person.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up watching that stuff. It was great, man.
Did you ever get to see it, actually, the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show? Did you actually see it perform like a fairground?
I saw it at Sunshine Speedway.
Oh, nice.
In Clearwater, Florida, which now it's something. Okay. I think it's called something else now.
Yeah. We happened to be on vacation in upstate New York, and it was like at Binghamton. Made mom and dad. I was probably 8, Made mom and dad see the Thrill Show. I'd seen it all those years on Wide World of Sports and everything, right?
For sure.
We got to go see it. And they took me. It was great.
So that'll wrap things up there. Congratulations. Matty Brabham keeps the streak alive. He has qualified on the pole every single event so far this year. A career best effort or season best effort for Robert Stout, the rookie, ends up P2 at 154.77. Keep in mind, they invert the entire field, meaning if you qualify first and second, you will start off dead last row. So both of those guys will start that race in the back tomorrow, round number 7. As you tearing up the box over there, dude? Robbie Gordon ends up P3 at a 55.4. Ari Lyndike Jr. ends up P4, actually. They've got Robbie Gordon in here twice. Oh, my bad. That was Max. Congratulations to Max, who is P3 at a 55.4. So Brabham, Stout, And Max Gordon inside of the top 3. Robbie Gordon, P4, at a 55.49. So young Max out-qualifies his dad by 0.09 of a second. Very cool. Great job there for that young 13-year-old Ari Leindyke Jr. inside of the top 5 with a 56.58. Jett Nolan, Zach Van Meter, Wardy, Abel, Ricky Johnson, Hines, Lamastus, and Barrett to round